way, Sam Surinder Sharma, Vice President ICCC, and me here, Vijay Thomas, President ICCC. We'll also have a special address from Nick Schroeder, Director IESO. So that's a really power-packed bunch of people there, and we look forward to listening to all of them. So let's move on. So that's me there. I'm the president of the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. I just took office around 20 days back. So we're brand new to the job. I was the vice president before, so this is not really that new, but we are started this whole Thursday Talks event series for us to reach out to our audience, reach out to our membership, and let them know of the great things that we are doing, great possibilities with the Ontario government, with the various levels of government, with different technologies, and also in the economy as a whole. How do we make our members that much more competent to succeed in the new economy and in the present situation? So moving on. Today's program will focus on energy efficiency and conservation, and how we can use some of the programs that are available from various levels of government. Also, by doing this, how can we help preserve the climate? Also, we have how do small businesses in particular, and with BOMA, how do buildings and the Indo-Canadian community, I think we have a lot of property owners, we have a lot of hotel owners. How do we get all of you to start thinking of saving energy, and what do you do? So I think today my Vice President and Mr. Sam Sharma is also an expert in this area, and he's put together a whole new thing, a whole session of, I was almost telling him, this sounds like you're all going to be practitioners at the end of this, but stay in your seats. You will learn a lot by the end of today, and possibly at the end of this you'll also see ways to save money and save the environment. So moving on, we'll get to the ICCC Small Business Assist Program. It's something that we started as COVID hit. If you have a problem, if you're a small business, you need help, send an email to the ICCC at icconline.org. We'll get one of our members that's an expert in the area, either technology, finance, tax, and they will come in and help you for free. You get 1 hour of free service. So please use us, take us up on this offer. And now I will not steal the thunder from Mr. Sharma, but even on energy, you should be able to give us a call. Disclaimer, everything that we say today is only for general information purposes, does not constitute legal or professional advice. So please do not think of suing us. We're saying this loud and clear. Also, the views expressed by speakers are their own personal opinion, do not necessarily reflect the official position or policy of the ICCC. So with that, we come to our keynote address. Honorable Bill Walker, Ontario's Associate Minister for Energy. I was told the minister is in his riding, which is in rural Ontario, and we might not have had him on internet, but I am very pleased to say Minister Walker is available on Zoom, and he will be with us for the entire session. And with that, I'd like to welcome Minister Walker. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, President Vijay and Vice President Surinder, and to all the esteemed panel colleagues and to all the participants on the call. And just before I start, I want to put a special shout out to Kevin Lochner. I believe he is actually in Cincinnati, and he works in your industry, and he is from the town that I'm sitting in. So I just want to do a special shout out to him. Glad to see your disclaimer. You can't sue me no matter what I say on this program. That was good to hear, Vijay. Thank you so much. I'm a fairly fast talker. My staff call me the Energizer Bunny, no pun intended. So if I'm talking too fast, one of you throw up a hand and I'll try to slow down. I've taken a 4-hour keynote and I put it into about 9 minutes. So we should try to do well here. It's truly a pleasure to join all of you this afternoon, and I want to thank the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce for giving me the opportunity to deliver this evening's keynote address. ICC members, or as you say, VJ, ICCC members play an important role in driving our economy, and I'd like to thank you all for your efforts to help Ontario through these very challenging times, and to those of you in other parts of the world for all that you've done to get us through COVID, because it truly is an international pandemic. As the Associate Minister of Energy, I'm here to tell you about our government's actions on the energy file, which has been an important priority for us since we came to office in 2018. At the start of our mandate, our government made a promise to work with businesses like yours and organizations to work on solutions that create a more competitive business environment. A crucial part of that promise is lowering energy costs, and Premier Ford made this file a key priority from day one. When we came to office, we committed to fixing the hydro mess left behind by the previous government. That meant prioritizing the ratepayer, making the energy system independent and reliable, moving towards a market-based system for procurement of new assets, and making the policy environment around energy predictable. You will recall that we moved quickly to repeal the Green Energy Act and eliminate unneeded energy contracts that saved us $790 million. Next, we focused on expanding natural gas to rural and northern Ontario, which is saving the average customer between $800 and $2,500 a year. And I'm pleased to say we're ready almost to go to phase 2 of that project in the next month and a half or so. So keep tuned in for that. More recently, we delivered customer choice to consumers, providing millions of Ontarians who are working and learning from home options for how they can best save on their electricity costs. I was especially pleased when our government made energy the centerpiece of our last budget, Ontario's action plan to protect, support, and recover. Specifically, we introduced measures to lower electricity bills for all ratepayers, with a focus on industrial and commercial businesses. Our plan reduces overall global adjustment costs by shifting non-hydro renewable energy costs, saving industrial and commercial employers 14% and 16% respectively. And that was something we heard long before taking government, and we actually made it happen, which we've received a great deal of applause for. Folks, in my mind, this is an absolute game changer. For one mine in Northern Ontario, this may mean a savings of $270,000 per month, or $3.2 million a year. For an automotive parts manufacturer in Mississauga, the savings will be about $31,800 per month, or nearly $382,000 annually. For a small shop in Grimsby, this is a savings of about $800 a month, or nearly $10,000 a year. As a result of our comprehensive plan, Ontario will go from being one of the least competitive jurisdictions in North America for electricity costs to one of the most competitive. We are now more price competitive than the US average and Great Lakes states. Unburdened from past mistakes, we can again compete with our neighbors for manufacturing and commercial jobs. Indeed, this is a major key to unlocking Ontario's economic recovery. And as you know, we did all of this while still holding the record of being one of the cleanest electricity systems in North America. Approximately 93% of the electricity generated in Ontario in 2019 was emissions-free due to a supply mix that includes renewable resources like water power, wind, and solar. And then, of course, Ontario relies on nuclear power as the backbone of our electricity system. Nuclear provides more than 60% of the province's power and provides a reliable, competitively priced, and emissions-free source of electricity while supporting around 76,000 jobs, mostly here in Ontario. Moreover, you may not know that Ontario's nuclear industry is a major world supplier of medical isotopes to sterilize medical equipment and increasingly treat cancers and tumors. And even in the midst of our global pandemic, the sterilization of all of those things that are protecting the people of Ontario, Canada, and across the world. We, of course, know that the global face increased those pressures due to COVID-19, and we're pleased to say that Canadian-made medical isotopes are more critical than ever. Looking towards the future, our government wants to make Ontario a global leader in new nuclear, small modular reactors, or SMRs, and hydrogen, because these represent tremendous opportunities for job creation and a successful post-COVID economic recovery, and deliver a clean, reliable energy future. Ontario has been at the forefront of the developments in the SMR space. The small size and flexibility of SMRs could provide a new age of clean, low-cost on-grid energy production, providing new options for supply as electricity demand increases. Additionally, SMRs could provide the perfect solution for unique energy challenges, such as powering the more remote and rural communities in our province that currently rely on expensive diesel power or our growing mining sector. This represents an exciting new opportunity for Ontario's robust nuclear industry and experienced nuclear operators to support SMR deployment and export potential within our province, across Canada, and around the world. Similar to SMRs, hydrogen as a potential energy source could lead to opportunities for job creation and economic growth and help us lower greenhouse gas emissions. Minister Rickford and I are working with our colleagues, the Minister of the Environment, the Minister of Transportation, and the Minister of Economic Development to assess what role hydrogen may play in our energy future. All of this showcases Ontario's energy advantage, but there's also another aspect of our system that our government is proud of, and that's our new conservation and demand management framework, which will no doubt be of interest to many of you. Last year, our government directed the Independent Electricity System Operator, the IESO, and we have an esteemed guest with us today from there, to design, deliver, and fund a new 4-year electricity conservation and demand management framework beginning this year. The IESO is currently designing new programs to help businesses better manage their electricity use and costs through the installation of energy saving measures and energy management services. Some of the programs that will have launched as of January 4th are a new energy affordability program, which will include an expanded eligibility to continue to support income-eligible electricity consumers in lowering their monthly costs. A new retrofit program for business and industry that will be available under 3 streams: lighting, HVAC, and manufacturing and other equipment. A new process and systems upgrade program that will support participants to get larger, more complex projects off the ground. Energy performance program will continue to be available for businesses to achieve continuous whole building energy improvements under the pay for performance model. Energy Manager program will provide an upfront payment of $20,000 annually to companies to hire an energy manager and up to $150,000 per year to compensate their energy manager based on their performance. This will be at a rate of $300 per kilowatt of peak demand production. Continuation of the small program for the direct no-cost replacement of existing inefficient equipment up to $2,000. The program will expand in mid-2021 to offer more opportunities for small business to reduce their electricity costs, help their business grow, and recover from the potential impacts of COVID-19. We are very excited about how these new programs will benefit you and your businesses, and we hope you'll take advantage of them. Please visit saveonenergy.ca or feel free to reach out to my office for more information. Finally, I want to close by talking about the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and to share what our government is doing to help you through this unprecedented emergency. I want you to know that we have been and will continue to be there to support you through this as we take decisive action to contain this deadly virus while vaccine distribution ramps up. Most notably, we recently announced unprecedented grants of up to $20,000 for impacted businesses through the Ontario Small Business Support Grant. Moreover, we have rolled out a suite of new relief measures to support all Ontarians with energy costs during the shutdown. Since January 1st, we've put in place a new discounted off-peak rate of 8.5 cents per kilowatt hour for all households, small business, and farm customers. We created a property tax and energy rebate for businesses that have been required to close or significantly reduce and restrict services. We're also providing customers with energy assistance programs like the COVID-19 Energy Assistance Program, or SEAP. Under SEAP, any small business, registered charity, or residential customer with an overdue electricity or natural gas bill is eligible to apply for financial support. Small businesses can receive up to $1,500 to cover their electricity bill and an additional $1,500 for the natural gas bill. A residential customer can receive up to $750 for each source, electricity and natural gas. Eligible customers can apply for these enhanced benefits through their local utility right now. Friends, as COVID-19 continues to create challenges, please know that we will continue to be there to support the private sector so that we can create jobs, attract new investment, and help drive our economic recovery through this emergency and beyond. We need to work together with you as always to make this a robust recovery, and we know how important a reliable, predictable, and affordable energy system is to our recovery. Thank you again for inviting me. Thanks for all you do. We look forward to working with you as we come out of this. And thanks to your membership and work on behalf of my ministry. All the very best.
Thank you very much, Minister Walker. That was a lot of information. True to your word, you stuck to, did you say 4 hours and 9 minutes? But I think you did it. You pulled it off. So kudos to you. And thank you very much. I think key things from there. I think there are savings for people. I heard some good numbers out there. If you're an auto, parts manufacturer, around $30,000 in savings. So these are, I think, good numbers. Something that will resonate with our membership. And on that note, let's move to the next, part of our evening today. We're going to move to, I'm going to introduce the moderator, and he's going to take it from there. We're going to pass the baton into the very capable hands of Mr. Surinder Sam Sharma, the Vice President Director of the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. Surinder Sharma did his electrical engineering from IIT Delhi and served as a professional engineer with lots of multinational companies in India, Bahrain, UAE, and Canada. And since 2001, he's been in the energy conservation and demand management programs. And he's somebody that, if you're in the energy conservation business, most of you know of Sam Sharma. He's also on the board of the Mississauga Board of Trade. So those of you who live in Mississauga, and if you see some energy being saved, it's also thanks to his committee at the Mississauga Board of Trade. With that, I'd like to hand over to Surinderji. Sam Sharma, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Vijay. And it's my pleasure to moderate rest of the sessions. And we planned this event at a very, very short notice. And I must appreciate all the participants who have come, including the minister, then Nick and Patrick and Bala. They are all experts in their field. If we had all got together and done a session before COVID, we could have charged $150 per person in any good hall. So with that kind of experts doing a half-day seminar. So I really thankful to them. And we will have the first presentation from Nick. And he, in fact, this morning only suddenly I got a phone call since Terry was not able to make it. And then he said, maybe I'll come in, and he's really the expert who handles the programs. And I will invite him to make his first presentation. But I have one question for the Honorable Minister, but I don't know whether I should keep it at the end or go ahead now. But before I do anything else, I thought of a prayer which is more than maybe 15 or 20,000 years old, when the Vedas, the scriptures were written in India. And the opening prayer of one of the Vedas reads that prayer is made to Mother Earth, that she blesses us with the knowledge required to exploit the treasures of the nature, but without disturbing the environmental balance. Even those days, the old saints and teachers, they thought the environmental balance is so important. And if we see today, the last 50 years, if you see this graph, look at things, how it has changed. And for thousands and thousands of years, we maintained a certain carbon emissions level, which was keeping the whole environment clean, if you can see from this graph. And suddenly, from the last 50 years or so, the graphs have shot up. So it is man-made problem, so man has to solve it. And if you see against temperature, the carbon dioxide, it's all going proportionate. The more we are making the environment polluted, the more the temperature levels are going, the more uncomfortable the lives of our grandchildren, great-grandchildren are going to be if we don't take action today. And we are very grateful to the government here in Ontario and the federal government, who have been thinking very seriously, and they have been implementing the programs all these years, which has resulted I mean, I remember one time in the year 2002 or so, if some of you recall, there was a brownout. You hear all blackouts, but that was one-time brownout in Toronto area when Ontario crossed 27,000 megawatts of usage in one day, and the generators were not able to take it, and there was a power shut up all across. And then Mike Harris government started very seriously thinking that, oh, they should build another nuclear plant, and they were putting $35 billion into a nuclear plant for only 1,400 megawatts of power. And then came the Kyoto Protocol, and then Gretchen brought in the programs at Natural Resources Canada, then Dalton took it up here in Ontario. And as the programs were launched, we saw year by year, we have never crossed that level, and we have shut down so many coal-fired generating stations. So it's all a big achievement which Ontario should be really proud of. And I think we appreciate both the governments which have been, and they've been very dedicated to this cause, and we have been able to control. And I think, again, there's a further need to bring the demand down now. The consumption-wise, we have come down quite low. If I show you the bulbs we were using at that time, this was a 100-watt bulb. Can you see? This was a 100-watt bulb, and this was brought down to a 23-watt bulb after that. And now we get the same amount of better light with a 9-watt bulb, which is LED. So in 2 phases, we have done all this. So I think there's a great appreciation by what the government has done. And here I request Nick to please take over and show us what are the plans of IESO. And as you all know, some of the audience and our members may not be knowing that earlier all the programs are handled by the utilities, and it was a very decentralized way. There used to be 15 to 20 people working in each utility, like in Mississauga. Then Toronto Hydro had their own. Mississauga EnerSource became Electra. Then Electra had a big team there. But now everything is centrally done by IESO, and Nick is the brain behind, and he manages the whole thing. And we like to hear from him what is the future in Ontario. Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Sharma, for the introductions and obviously the invitation to speak here with your members and guests at the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. And thank you, Mr. Walker, for your opening remarks. Sam, you set the tone. I am the brain, but I have a big team behind me that I've been working with over the past 10 years. But I appreciate the notes and the feedback and the appreciation. So for those who aren't familiar with the ISO, we are the Independent Electricity System Operator, and we work at the heart of Ontario's power system, essentially directing the flow of electricity across the grid and administering the wholesale market. I like to use the analogy we're akin to an air traffic controller for electricity grid. We ensure that there's enough power to meet our electricity needs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we do all this by working with stakeholders and communities across Ontario to plan, to secure for energy for the future, as well as guide the energy conservation efforts, for which I will focus some of my remarks today. So as mentioned, ISO has been delivering conservation programs across Ontario for over a decade. Actually, this month, we celebrated our 10-year anniversary for the Save On Energy brand. And we've had great success as over these programs, helping Ontario homes and businesses save over 16 terawatt hours of electricity, which is roughly the equivalent of powering 1.8 million homes for 1 year. So given the benefits of conservation programs to our electricity grid and consumers, as well as its contribution to the Ontario's economy and remaining competitive, we were able to secure a new 4-year, $692 million conservation framework, as Minister Walker was alluding to, for which we've just launched 3 weeks ago here in Ontario. And given the success we've seen in our past program, we've continued with many of the flagship Save On Energy programs that some of you are aware of, and has helped businesses manage their electricity usage and keep businesses competitive and improve their bottom line. Patrick will be talking about our Save our small business program, our small business lighting program, for which we'll continue in this framework, which provides $2,000 for energy efficiency lighting for small businesses. But I also want to touch upon some of the enhancements that Minister Walker just talked about in his opening remarks about our programs. Our flagship retrofit program, some of you may be aware, we've expanded the list to include more energy efficient measures and rebates to enable businesses to continue to save energy costs and take advantage of the variety of technologies and products to help improve overall operations of buildings and facilities in Ontario. So these new measures are available under the 3 streams. We have lighting, which is a lot of lighting measures, some heating and cooling measures, some manufacturing, some food services as well. We have made strides to make faster application review process and quicker incentive payments for participants. This is what we've heard from our customers. And I invite you to visit our Save on Energy website for a full list of the measures and rebates that might be available for your businesses here in Ontario. In addition, we've continued to support energy manager programs, which has been instrumental in building highly skilled network of energy professionals in various sectors across the province. Since this program was introduced, over 150 energy managers have been supported, and more will be added throughout this framework. We've also continued to make available workshops and courses for energy managers and energy professionals to make improvements in their buildings and energy efficiency behaviors for their companies. We're offering up to 75% discounts on some of our training for energy management, for specialized skills training for systems and technologies, and opportunities for professional development through various industry certifications and more jobs. In addition to business programs, the government has renewed their commitment to support Ontario's most vulnerable communities. We have launched our energy affordability program to support income-eligible customers to help lower their electricity cost and increase the comfort of their homes. In addition, programs continue to be available for on-reserve First Nation communities to benefit from these energy-saving upgrades to help improve their homes for on-reserve homes, as well as buildings, and help the community save on energy cost. If I had more time, I'd love to get into some of the new programs that we are planning also for this framework, including evolving our energy management program to focus on more strategic energy management and building retro-commissioning. We are also launching a new customer-based solutions to help support our larger and more complex projects get off the ground with access to programs. And we're also doing more targeted conservation programs in areas of the province which have specific local or regional system needs, which is a welcome alternative to investing in more costly distribution system upgrades we've seen in the past. But I am running short on time, and I did want to leave a sufficient time for my partners, Patrick and Bala, who are going to speak a bit more about some of our programs and other programs available. But ultimately, this new framework strikes a good balance to ensure conservation program in Ontario is providing the benefits to not only customers who participate in our programs, but also provide value and being a cost-effective resource to meet our electricity system needs going forward. So hopefully that it was able to provide a flavor of the programs that are available for businesses here in Ontario. But I do invite you to visit Save on Energy website to reach out to us directly to help navigate what programs are available to you and help your customers and stakeholders manage their electricity needs now and into the future. With that, I'll pass it back to you, Sam.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate. In a very short time, you summarized and covered everything, but maybe if there are more questions towards the end, we will come back to you, and really appreciate your coming and adding so much value to this presentation. Thank you, sir. So next, I think we will be, I'll be inviting Patrick from Sonepar to give a presentation on the small business lighting. Just as a little introduction about that program, this is one of the, I think, most productive program which has been most successful in bringing the demand down, because if you see during the daytime, you look into any small business, a young street from one end to the other, you see every shop the lights are on. No small business can run during the day without the lights being on. So I just showed you a little while ago how the bulbs from 100 watt, they come down to 9 watt, and we are getting much better light levels. And same way with the fluorescent, it used to be magnetic ballast with T12s, all those big monsters, and then it became electronic ballast with T8s. And then the second phase came in, those T8s also gone. We have LED lamps. So all this has brought everything from 100 watts, everything is now under 10 watts. So this is the hard work done by all the professionals and Hydro and IESO that we got this success. So Patrick, he heads the small business lighting program across Ontario, and it's a big challenge reaching out to so many small businesses, and especially to our members in the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce. I think many of them run business, retail business, some are consultants, some are lawyers, even the offices. I think many of us are not aware that the high-rise office towers, though there's one hydro bill coming, it may be having 500 kilowatts load, but when 50 shops or 50 offices divide that whole load, so per unit of business, it comes down to 100. Every business comes to around 50 or less, even less than 50 kW load. So they are all entitled to get this $2,000 of incentive programs, which many in our community are not aware. So they all can apply. They can go back and tell their landlord that we want to apply, and collectively they can get this money. So I think this is one of the highlights we should emphasize in the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce, that anybody having office anywhere who has got a staff, 50 people, 40 people, they can get this $2,000 at no cost and get their system lighting upgraded as soon as possible. So we have the expert with us. Pat is going to explain, and all yours, Pat. Thank you.
Pat, before you start, I'd like to mention you've got to come in within 10 minutes because Minister Walker has a hard stop at 5:30. So we will have Minister Walker have a few words at around 5:25. So you got 10 minutes.
Like Mr. Walker, I speak quickly, so I don't think you have to worry. Yeah. Sam, thanks so much. I 100% agree with you. This is really, I think, foundational. And when I've been doing this work with small businesses for 12 years, and it's one of the most rewarding jobs you can get. I'm very, very lucky. So Sam, thank you. I know you're Sam. VJ, thanks for the invite. Minister, thanks so much for joining us, Mr. Walker and Nick and Bala. Nice to see you. It's been a while. I'm going to tell you, I'm mostly going to focus on the program. I'd love to tell you about Blue Way and our business and all the other things we're doing, but I think critically we want to focus on the small business lighting program. It's our #1 job. And just before I get into the specifics of the program, I'll tell you a tiny bit. We are the partner, the vendor that delivers small business across the province. But Blue Way is a member of the Sonnebar Canada family. Uniquely, we're a services division, and the balance, our sister companies within Sonnebar, are focused on the distribution of or wholesale of electrical supplies to customers like utilities or the electrical trades. So we are in a unique position. We're a services group within a broader company. And we've been focused on energy efficiency programming for corporate and utility clients since 2009. So small business lighting program, it's our focus here in Ontario, besides some of the other stuff we're doing. Really critical, I think, for your membership and businesses across Ontario. As it's been mentioned a couple of times, there's up to $2,000 of incentives. There's some more incentives above that that are smaller, but we'll focus on that. There's a free assessment, so it's a really easy program to participate in. Really, we have to recruit people and let them know about it. Once they know, we go and we do an assessment. The business owner, we can show them if they have eligible measures, what they have, and they get to choose exactly how they participate in the program. Once they decide to move forward, a licensed electrical contractor brings all the material and does the work, and the customer signs off. So it's a super easy turnkey program. if you have a business, or I'll go into some of the more details. Who's eligible? So I have a map of Ontario. This is neat. This is all our participants from November of 2020. So you can see we cover from Manitoulin Island to Thunder Bay, and we try to cover as much of the province as we can. So there's a spread equally. So if you have a business in, on Bruce Peninsula or a hotel up there, it's not just focused on one area. We spread this across the province. Your business, it's a new eligibility with the ISO or the Save on Energy programs where you have 50 or fewer employees on site at any point. You have to have eligible measures to be eligible to get those incentives. And you can have previously participated at that one site in the small business program for the last, I'd say, the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years. Next slide, please. So eligible measures, we're looking for what Sam showed you. 100 watt incandescents, halogen lighting. Those are typically in tracks or pot lights. Fluorescent lighting, so T12, T8, and then the sort of bell-shaped one, those what you see in maybe auto shops or small industrial, small warehouses, some big box stores, which we're not really servicing, but those are very inefficient. All these can be switched up for massively more efficient products. And that is literally our job, is to go heat-seeking missile, find these in your small businesses and help you switch them out for more efficient technology. Next slide. So who participates in this? If you look at, we look at this all the time. We have a lot of participants. We've as a vendor, worked with over 80,000 participants in Ontario for the last 12 years, and there's been more than that in total. So big scope, but we're looking at convenience stores, barbershops, anything you can, churches, places of worship. Your typical small business, that's who participates, and that's who we're looking to participate in the program. You can see there's a small business case on the side. Listen, a small amount of investment, $2,000, if you have inefficient halogen and incandescent lighting, that can turn into more than $2,000 per year in savings. Okay, so these are real massive impacts on small businesses that can really use them. And I think why this program is important, and is especially coming out of COVID, typically, small businesses do not have a big capital expenditure budget. They don't have the economies of scale to pile up cash to invest in their business all the time. So having an offer like this from a government, that's actually from the government and through Save on Energy, that's a win. We call it a win-win-win. There's probably a fourth win in there somewhere, in that there's a lighting upgrade that improves the lighting on site for the business. It's lowering their energy consumption, which helps the province manage the energy load, but it actually, saves that business money on their energy bill from day one. And then the fourth win that we always think about is it created a job for an electrical contractor. It helped create a job for the auditor that works for us. The whole supply chain is impacted by this program. So it's a really critical and important program in the province, and we're really happy. And I meant to congratulate the minister on launching the new framework. That's really exciting to have these programs available for the next 4 years. It's really, really impressive. And I just want to thank him and congratulate him on that, and Nick as well. I know he put a lot of work into that. So I have my last slide is actually the follow-up to that, but I'll go to this. I just want to focus on the future a little bit, because I think we want to have a discussion. So I think Nick and the team at ISO have been really creative, and they're looking to expand out of lighting. I know it's been a challenge because there's so much lighting and it's relatively easy to switch out. The other stuff gets incrementally harder sometimes, but it can be really inefficient, and there could be really great measures. So moving into non-lighting measures is something we're focused on at Blue Way. Deeper retrofits, I think Bala, I'm not sure if he's speaking to this, but it's more in his wheelhouse, bigger customers, deeper retrofits. But one thing we're interested in is how do we bring that to smaller businesses? So how, when capital, and the same with project finance, is being deployed towards deeper retrofits, typically the investors are looking for economies of scale, and they're not really focused on medium or smaller size businesses. But we know there's a lot of savings in those sites. And really the forgotten part, and I know even we call it, B scale or B defined buildings. I know that's a big focus for BOMA as well. Project finance, that's something we're really excited about, and not always working with the incentives that are provided that are out there, but there is outside capital that understands efficiency. It's a growing part of the mix of our energy efficiency basket. And when we speak to these people who are really interested in this, their challenge is finding projects. So what we're trying to do is work with those entities to be that bridge to projects. And the most exciting thing that we're working on today is EV charging infrastructure. There's large incentives coming through this year federally. There's going to be a build out. Big news every single day. GM today was in the headlines. This is going to be a fast moving market, and we want to be at the forefront of building out that infrastructure and helping small businesses be part of that, whether you have a fleet or whether you want to service your customer, or if you have a multi-residential building. My last slide is actually just to finish up my SVL. Sorry, I mixed that up. Apologies. How do you participate in SVL? The best way, and if you get this presentation as part of the package, if not, just go to the small business lighting, just search small business lighting on Google or go to the Save on Energy site. Go to start your lighting project. It's a little link. It has a tiny little questionnaire. It asks you by those images what type of lighting you have. It really helps us start the project, and we'll get in touch with you right away. It comes right to our team. Call us. We have people on the phone line all the time. Or email us at the email address below. Note, because we are under lockdown, the program is paused, that program activity, so I will note that. So we can't come out to your site. But as soon as lockdowns, when regionally are removed, we'll be able to come out, and we want to get out to your business as soon as possible. So we'll be calling you the day lockdowns come down. Anyways, I think hopefully I beat the 10-minute race there.
You did, Patrick. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So
cool.
It's good. I mean, I think the sound of money is beautiful. So $2,000. Everybody, a lot of our members are small businesses. I'm doing the math here. We're looking at a couple of $1 million of savings to all our members just out there. So thank you very much, Patrick. On that note,
Vijay,
I'd like to welcome Minister Walker back. Minister Walker.
Just one comment before that.
Yeah.
This small business lighting program, like he mentioned, Pat mentioned, that all the small business owners who have availed of the program from 2016 onwards cannot apply now if they have availed from 2016 onwards. But I just want to let all our members know and the audience know that this program was started in the year 2008. And it went on then up to 2016 also. During that period alone, about 110,000 small businesses were retrofitted. That time, it was all magnetic ballast and T12s were taken out during that time. So those people who have put in electronic ballast and T8s, and they're happy that they think that, oh, our place, our business is very energy efficient, can again come back and apply. So when we are talking within our Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce members, we have to emphasize all the business owners in Brampton. They may be thinking, oh yeah, we have already availed of this program, but they can still come back and apply again. I think, Pat, I want to assure you that we will focus this and do a campaign and bring back all those customers to you again, so that you can now give them LEDs. So thank you very much. Carry on. You want to bring in the minister?
Yes, thank you.
I have a question for him as soon as he comes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sam. Minister Walker, can we have you back in, please? Yeah, Minister Walker.
I'm here.
Yeah, yeah. So we would like to thank you, and I know you've got a hard stop. We started a little late, so we'd like to, thank you for coming, and we'd like to hear a few words from you. And my colleague and moderator Sam has a question for you as well. So over to you, Sam Surinder Sharma.
Sure. Okay. My biggest question is, when these programs were started, and when Natural Resources Canada also did, they first launched the energy audit program, and then they brought in retrofit program way back in 2002, when Clarion was the Prime Minister and Herb Dhaliwal was the Natural Resources Canada Minister. And I happened to be, my application was the third application that time. We went to Ottawa, especially from Toronto, to put in an application, and that time we got. So energy audit was a big emphasis, that when you enter into a big complex, you don't know where to start, because so many contractors come and knock your doors. They say, oh, you can do this. They try to sell things, very quickly. But unless a very professional energy audit level 2 is done, and you come out with proper list of, say, 20 measures with payback periods, return of investment, some may be 10 months, some may be 2.5 years, some may be even 5 years on the mechanical side. So when you draw out a very detailed program and then have your budgets and money spent, you are much productive in bringing higher efficiency. Plus, the owners are spending the money more effectively. So energy audit is a must. So how come your government has taken out energy audits out from the program, which was being done earlier by the Liberals, and even now Natural Resources Canada, for a short window, they opened up and they took applications for doing energy audits, and it was a great response. There was big lineup, people couldn't do it, all the big companies wanted to do it. So why don't you consider again? And from Mississauga Board of Trade, we have passed the resolutions so many times and sent to the Ontario and went to the government, but it was not looked into.
Yeah, so Sharmaji and Minister, I know you're very short of time. The Minister's office has told us they will give us time where the Minister will come and specifically talk to us. But if you have some time to address this, Minister, please take your time to do it. But I've got your office that told us that you will find time, and you have assured us that you will come and speak to us. But I know we were crunched on time, but whatever time you have, if you can tell us, say a few words, please. Yeah, Mr. Walker, I think you're on mute.
Thank you very much, President Vijay. And Sam, I'm happy to try to address, and I will come and speak to you at any time. I think we want to do anything that is effective, efficient. We want to cut out red tape and any churn of paperwork. We have a great group in the IESO that can direct a lot of these programs, companies like Patrick's that can make sure that they're done efficiently and effectively. What we want to do is get rid of a whole bunch of paperwork and get actually the resources to the front end where they're actually doing some good. To your very pertinent prayer at the very start, we have to do everything with an environmental lens and an effective lens to ensure that we have the economy that we can grow and sustain and make sure people have the things they need, but we need to do it in environmental sessions. So if we can do it through some help with some audit, I'm all ears to open that, but we're not going to go back to paperwork as opposed to getting the job done. Thank you so much, everybody. We'll get through this COVID. We'll get through everything that comes at us, because we have people like you, businesses like you, talented professionals who come to the table with innovation and new ideas and a spirit that says we will energize our province. Thanks so much.
Thank you. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Minister. Yeah.
We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay. So we come to the last speaker of the day. He is Bala Gananam from Boma. I know Bala since many years back, when one time when Boma was handling all the applications on behalf of Toronto Hydro and doing and supervising all the programs being run in Toronto. So he's a very experienced and a veteran professional in this field. He's going to cover some of the other projects besides the small business lighting. There are a number of more opportunities which come up in the buildings, including gas, because it's not only lighting, you can save a lot of gas also and bring your utility bills down and also care for the environment. So all to you, Bala, the field is yours. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Sam, and thank you, Vijay, and ICCC for inviting me back, and Patrick and Nick. It's a pleasure to join you on this as one of the panelists, and thanks to the audience for giving up some of your time to join this important conversation. So I will take a slightly different approach for energy efficiency. I'm taking from more of a building performance perspective, especially, a conversation with Sam ahead of this session is we're going to focus more on the mid-tier building, what we call Class B, Class C buildings, small to medium buildings, and how energy efficiency and conservation fits into that. So very often when we think about building performance, we naturally talk about energy efficiency, but there's a lot more to building performance than just energy, even though that's the biggest component of operational expenses, almost comprising of a third of our operating budget. But there are other areas, water, waste, operations itself, maintenance, resilience, and of course, emission as well. So we're in the process of kind of expanding the definition of performance to include all these areas. And incidentally, the building performance also affects the business performance. And we also need to understand that the business performance conversely affects the building performance as well. So there is, instead of kind of seeing it in silos, we need to see from a high level business operations, how does energy efficiency and performance impact your bottom line? So next slide, please. So what are the key benefits of energy efficiency? So we have reduced energy or electricity or gas cost, immediate operational and maintenance savings, the equipment will be running more efficiently, and also up-to-date, efficient equipment and technology. Now that's important to make your buildings more current, and greater employee and tenant comfort and productivity. Now there's been numerous studies coming from the US and Australia and Europe connecting productivity and comfort to greater tenant retainment and employee retaining employees. So that's a huge factor that we should be thinking about. Another one that we rarely think about when we talk about energy efficiency is how does it improve the value of your building, your asset. Now that we rarely talk about it, especially in the mid-tier sector where we find that the occupancy level is fairly high. I mean, notwithstanding the current COVID situation. So there is a tendency to ask ourselves, well, my bills are getting paid. I'm paying my bills. Why do I need to invest in energy efficiency? So, well, that's a valid question. Why would you want to do that? One is, yes, of course, you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing by improving your carbon footprint of your building, but also you're also improving the asset value. For example, if you own let's say a 75,000 square foot building and you manage to save, let's say by taking advantage of Save on Energy or Enbridge program, manage to save just 1 cent a square foot. Let's keep it very conservative, 1 cent. So if you have a 75,000 square foot building, we're looking at about increasing the value of your building by about $12,500. That's just by doing that project. How did I calculate that? It's simple. It's 1 cent times 75,000, and then that's $750, and you divide by a cap rate of, let's say, 6%. That'll give you $12,500. That's how much you have increased the asset value. So those are the other dimension to the conservation conversation. So that's something else that we would want you to think about. The other one is, the approach matters, because we also see there's a tendency to cherry pick projects. Okay, yeah, I hear about this, I'll do this project, then I'm going to do that project. what we suggest you do is that take a more holistic approach, and the real seed for success here is commitment. You don't have to get it all done this year or next year. Plan it out properly, but it requires a high degree of commitment. So, and your conservation project doesn't have to cost that much either, if you take that approach. And you need a systematic approach with a holistic view. The other one is, don't be afraid to apply that 20/80 rule. Those of you who don't know what 20/80 rule is, basically you're looking at all of your available measures and what needs to be done, and looking at, okay, what is the 20% of the things that I can do to have the 80% of the success? If you can apply that rule, then, you know, whether it's you do in a short-term basis or long-term basis, doesn't matter. It helps you plan out better, and maybe, you know, how you also want to do your expenditure on this area. And then take advantage of incentive programs, you know, at all levels. And the municipal programs that are available through your cities. Then there's, of course, Save on Energy program for provincially, as well as the Enbridge DSM programs. Take every single, take advantage of every single program out there. And then don't be reserved that okay, and once I do this, that's it, I'm done. It's also a continuous process. People say, oh yes, I'm going to do the lowest hanging fruit. Well, the thing is, fruits do grow back, so we need to be vigilant, and also we need to get sometimes longer ladders. This has to be a continuous process. So that kind of the process that we normally define is, as it shows in the diagram, you do an audit to identify opportunities. And then you need to have a plan where you want to be, and it could be short-term, long-term, medium-term, long-term. And then you do your low-hanging fruit or your low-cost, no-cost approach. Very often, especially for small to medium buildings, there's ample opportunities where you can actually drive some savings. This is without putting any capital dollars in. For example, your windows. Again, there's a misconception that energy leaks through windows. It rarely leaks through the window. It's leaking through the perimeter, the joint. So make sure that you do proper insulation, do a caulking, things like that. Lighting is another quick and easy win. Do that. And then you do retro commissioning, just going back and making sure that your building system are working as they're supposed to. So that's important that we do that. And after you do all that, then you come to capital expense and say, okay, now do I need to retrofit? Yes. And then I'm pretty sure there'll be, depending on when was the last time the building was upgraded, systems were upgraded, I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of opportunities there. Then you take advantage of the incentive programs, get the project going. But then another important thing that we forget is to have some kind of a monitoring program or metering program in place, so we can continuously make sure that the investment that we've made is continuing to yield results. Because very often we kind of change equipment and kind of walk away thinking that everything works fine. It may be so in a short run, but people's change, sometimes operating conditions change. So it's important that we keep a constant eye on the investment that we make to drive more ROI, maximize the ROI. And another piece is to make sure your operators are trained properly. Again, there's no point in putting high-tech equipment and not have the operators trained, because that's the quickest way to make sure that everything degrades. So anyway, so if we can move to the next slide. So conservation program, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because Nick and Minister Walker has covered some of it. But basically, if you can move to the next slide, apart from the three streams for the new program, one of the key takeaway is there are new prescriptive non-lighting measures that are available. That's key, because before, as Patrick mentioned, we only limited to small business lighting, and then there were other few prescriptive measures, but now it's moving more towards the prescriptive model, which is easier for installation. It's easier for the project management, and also more importantly, the process for applying for incentive and getting that funding would be much easier by simply doing a quick switch. Well, I don't mean to make it too easy, but that's, in essence, that's what it is. So you don't have to go through this detail MNV programs and things like that. You identify opportunity, get the equipment in place and following the procedures, and then just sign off. Next slide, please. And on the DSM side, there's equivalently lucrative deals available. And if you look at the business sectors, they've listed all the sectors that DSM programs are available for. Now, obviously, we're looking at buildings, but they're also available for a lot of technologies. That quite an array of technologies that can deliver, conservation. So for business sectors, basically there are 6 programs that Enbridge offers. Each one is unique, and again, this is across Save on Energy and Enbridge, is that it's very rare that you can walk in and say, well, I am not qualified for any incentive. It's important that you talk to your, the key account managers or the resources that these utilities have to make sure that you're eligible. And there's more details, if you follow that link that I given below, more details on how these programs work. Next slide, please. And basically, another key takeaway, especially for the mid-tier sector, is that you don't have to carry this load on your own. There are numerous resources offered by the Save on Energy program and the Enbridge program. For example, some of them may not be available one or the other, but this is kind of a general. There are audits. There's resources to clarify eligibility requirements. There are energy experts available, and then also help understand various conservation measures and efficient technologies, as well as there are support teams to help you complete the application, kind of stay with you through that process to get the money. So this is an important piece of information to understand that you're not alone. You have ample resources, and please take an advantage of that. And the information that I provided here, those are your key contacts for the Save on Energy and the Enbridge program. And especially on the Save on Energy side, if you follow that number, basically the way that the program is structured or being delivered is that they are in different regions. So by contacting this main, the central information number, they will then put you in touch with the right group that will provide all those other services that I talked to you about. And then on the Enbridge side, those are the names that you want to follow if you're a commercial or if you're a small business. And again, they also have a general inquiry, so you can put the information in, and then you get the right person, get you to talk to the right person from the region. Now, on the BOMA side, we also have quite a few resources that we can help, and we work very closely with the utilities and IESO. So we have our energy education workshops that's free to anyone who wants to join. And there is a mid-tier performance initiative that we started about 2 years ago. This is specifically working with the small to medium landlords and helping them with many of these questions that they may have, and basically help them get on the path to conservation and operational improvement. And we also have e-energy training, this online training. And then we have a Next Tech initiative that we started 2 years ago. Now, this is it's a transfer of knowledge from large buildings to small to medium sized building, and kind of help create the path to innovation. So that's the objective of Next Tech. And then we have a BOMA Best program, which is building management system. The other program that you may have heard about is Race to Reduce. Now, this is a kind of a friendly corporate challenge. It's open to anyone, any type of buildings, and it's a way to improve your efficiency and help tackle climate change through various resources. So it is more of a platform to improve building performance. So by joining Race, you pretty much basically come open to all these other programs that are currently available. And we also have a number of online resources and case studies. And then, of course, everything kind of linked to our awards program, both for Race as well as building our BOMA Best Awards. Key contacts for BOMA and by areas. Here's, you can, again, I put a lot of information on the slides because then ICCC can share this information with the audience. But all the prospective areas and the contacts are there, so feel free to contact us. And as with every other organization, we are very active in the social media. Connect with us, and you have a number of ways there by which you can do that. So thanks again. I hope I didn't take too much time, but I'm open for any questions.
Thank you very much, Bala. I think this was a great in-depth information, and some of our clients who have got commercial buildings, and the hospitality industry, you see all the big brands in Toronto, but many of the customers do not know that the owners behind them are actually Indo-Canadians. Almost 70% of the hotel industry is owned by them. So whatever all these information you gave, I think I'm sure it will be of use to them also. And Vijay, I think there are 2 questions from the audience, and maybe Nick could answer them. And also my question actually basically has been not to an depth answered by the minister. He just
The minister, I mean, his office did tell me that they will give us time, and we will get them to definitely speak to us.
I would like to hear comments of Nick also, because his department is the one who has to really push it with the minister in times to come. So that will be the 3rd question. But the 2 questions which have come from the audience, let me read out that quickly. Air conditioning plays a big part in summer. There are energy saving retrofits on the control side. Is there any rebates for this?
Thank you, Sam and Ravi, for that question. So yeah, there are some rebates available for air conditioning, especially on the control. So I invite you to go to our Save on Energy website. It lists all the measures and the incentives that are available. Or even better, Bala had the 1-800 number you can call, and you can walk through with our advisors on that. But there are some measures for air conditioner controls.
Yeah, it is there. And just to let you know, Ravi has put this question. He's our past president of the Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce and also a graduate of IIT. He's a very knowledgeable person. And his second question is, there was a talk that the federal government was going to offer rebates for home insulation upgrades in the year 2021. Any updates on this in the new program?
No, so we saw those announcements as well. I don't think the federal government has released any of this information yet, but we work closely with the federal government on understanding what programs might be available to Ontarians as well, and where we can work together, making sure we're not overlapping or competing incentives and so forth. So I don't think they released any details yet, Ravi, but I believe everyone is waiting anticipately what those programs might look like, and we hopefully would hear soon from the government on some of these rebates that might be available, akin to what you were saying earlier, Sam, like what was happening back in, I guess, in the 2000s when NRCan had some program with energy auditors. So I anticipate something focused on home weatherization with audits, etc. So more to come though.
Sure. So would you also like to comment finally on the energy audit? There's a likelihood that you people are going to recommend to the minister, to the government?
No, it's a good question. We did have the energy audit program as part of our initiatives in our past frameworks. It's not including in this initiative, but we are focused a lot on energy management. And then that's where having dedicated energy managers to find the savings in the businesses is a very key part. As also, we have programs that are focused on whole building savings, where we pay based on the verified savings. So again, not specifically audit, but they do get our appreciation of what elements in the buildings and facilities have energy saving capabilities. And we were hoping to enhance our energy management programs going forward to better get at that. And Bala in his presentation talked about some of that, the importance of identification and measurement and verification, et cetera, which is going to get to that as well.
Thank you very much. And
if I may add to that, I mean, that was a question that was asked of us too with respect to audits. And I mean, we understand it's a very important step in whole, the energy management process. I think what was causing the government to think twice about that, again, I wait for Minister Walker's, their explanation for this, but one of the things that would convey to us was that very often audits gets done and nothing comes after that. So it's, you do the audits and it kind of stagnant. So unless the audit leads to action or measures being implemented, doing audit by itself does not lead to conservation. So that's, and I know you, Sam, you know, the clients that you work with, I'm pretty sure it's a very few percentage of them that actually move from audit to actual implementation. So vast majority of them,
75% of them have moved in.
Then that's a very high percentage. So which makes you, you know, very good salesperson and actually getting them to do that's great. But mostly it just simply sits on the shelf collecting dust. So maybe what we need to do is look into more innovative way to reward that behavior of implementing what's coming out of the project. Maybe what people have normally given, and I say we, I'm collectively, as an incentive to do an audit first, maybe that dollar comes in when you implement the measures. Maybe that's another way to kind of still be rewarded, but not just to get it the audit and keep it on the shelf. So anyway, that might be, well, that's one of the reasons why I'm told that the government was looking, you know.
And Bala, if I may jump in, Sharmaji, I think the minister did allude to that. He said, reduce paperwork, reduce, you know, so get to the action right away. I think he quickly did mention that. So I think in a sense, you know, I think he was alluding to the same thing that Bala mentioned, is if you can get to doing it and not do the audit, so you're cutting one step. I do understand your point of view, but I mean, I think he did mention that as well. But if we can get more details.
You are not cutting a step. You are basically doing a very detailed analysis of the whole building, and then you prepare an action plan, which can be applied for 5 years, the action plan. And otherwise, the vendors go and knock the customers, whoever comes with more pressure left and right, and the decisions are not taken well-informed decisions. They go ahead with a few things. They could have gone and got a return on investment much faster in a few other things. So because in a property, there are a number of things can be done. When you do an energy audit, come out, there may be 20 different items which can be done. So this needs a little more technical, in-depth
of course, yes.
And then coming to a decision. Otherwise, internationally, it is being done everywhere. Programs are set. But you have to control it yourself. I mean, you have to watch carefully before approving the energy audits also. When we put an application for energy audit, you have to put certain information
conditions in place.
And then they should review and approve accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, what was happening was more like a gold rush towards energy audit, because especially when there's a free energy audit, yes, everyone wants to do an audit. Yes, lots of audits being done, but not enough. It doesn't translate to measures. There was another question about the incentives for AC air conditioners. Just going by the list, there is an incentive for advanced rooftop units controls. There's incentive for room air conditioners, as well as for package terminal air conditioners and heat pumps, as well as for chillers. So there are a number of incentives already available under the new program. Again, it's the best solution is to call that number and then get direction from those advisors.
No, the information you are given is going to be very useful. We're going to share with all our membership. Thank you very much. So I think when we move to the next slide and come to the conclusion, Vijay?
Yeah, go ahead.
There's one more incentive for our members. I'm just saying, so get a free energy audit. So Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce and Power Saving Systems will be offering a free energy audit level 1. There's a difference between level 1 and level 2. I've been emphasizing that the government should approve for giving money for level 2. So level 1 is basically a walkthrough where you go and spend few hours, 2 hours, and just take notes and come out, make observations and tell them, okay, here it can be done something, here it can be done, here it can be done. But it won't go into the financial details and do actual calculations and really offer the equipment in the first stage. So this energy audit we are offering to the first 20 people who are getting this presentation today or even later when they get a copy. Whoever approaches Indo-Canada Chamber of Commerce, our members, they are going to get 20 free of charge level 1 energy audit. I think I wanted to make an announcement and before we conclude, and we really appreciate all the panel members who took the time at a very, very short notice coming over. And we are really grateful for the insights and in-depth knowledge they are given to us. And we thank Tangentia, our technology partners, for sponsoring this event. This company is owned by our president, Vijay. So, and next slide, please. Thank you, Vijay. And we'd like to thank all our sponsors, Turkish Airlines, the gold sponsor, then our media partners, Weekly Voice, then PTC, and also the sector sponsors, which includes two major banks, State Bank of India and ICCC Bank. They are both Indian origin banks operating here in Canada. We appreciate their support, and we are thankful to Raymond James. They are the financial services company who help the clients and guide them how to grow their funds. So we thank them for being our sponsors. Then Seneca College, we thank you for that. And GT20, the sponsors and promoters of cricket. And finally, our communication sponsor, TELUS, who have been a big asset to us. And thank you everybody who joined today, and also all those who will be later sharing and appreciating and gaining out of this. We thank you all for coming, and thank you all the presenters and the minister and the government, and thank you, Vijay, for heading this.
Thank you, Sharmaji. Thank you for putting this together. Without you, this wouldn't have happened. And we've had this last year. This year we've got a better panel, a bigger panel, and we had everybody from the minister downwards. So this is getting a momentum of its own, and I think it's a great service. Something that each of our members should consider. So on that note, thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening, and hope to see you all next year again.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.